សមាជិកគណៈបញ្ញសង្គ្រោះជាតិប្រាជ្ញាប្រធានសាមគ្គីក្រុមនានាសង្គ្រោះបម្រើការពារកម្ពុជាខ្មែរព្រមគ្រប់គ្នាទាមទារសិទ្ធិសេរីឯករាជ្យបូរណភាពអធិបតេយ្យខ្មែរប្រស្រីបដូរផ្ដាច់ថែរក្សាមិនឲ្យបរទេសឈ្លានពានមកត្រួតត្រាសម្បត្តិដូនតាធនធានជាតិខ្មែរ
My name is Linda. Today is September 8, 2020, which is September 9, 2020 in Cambodia. Please help to support our petitions, ending impunity for justice in Cambodia. Please help to sign, share at change.org.
តើយុត្តិធម៌ឬនីតិរដ្ឋភាព
Between 1975 and 1979, the green rice fields of Cambodia became the killing fields of Cambodia. Over 2 million lives were lost, including the lives of my own parents and many of my relatives. The Khmer Rouge wanted a society that is equal according to them. We still live and we are haunted with the legacy of the Khmer Rouge, which is the culture of impunity that continues to exist in Cambodia today. It is for this reason that we have started a campaign, worldwide campaign, a campaign to end impunity in Cambodia by seeking justice for cases, for the executions, for the killings that are organized, that are backed by the state. Among those cases of state-backed killings are the killings of Chivichir, a very famous trade union leader, Bisep Pilaka, a ballet dancer, of Kemley, an independent analyst, of Chutvuti, a well-known environmentalist, of Venerable Sun Bunthun, who was advocating for the monks to have the right to vote, including workers who demanded fair wages. The campaign will also advocate for governments that are members of the United Nations to put pressure on the government of Cambodia to conduct independent investigations by using universal tools such as the UN Protocol for Independent Investigation. The campaign will also advocate for governments that believe and want to protect universal human rights to impose sanctions on the leaders of the government of Cambodia who are implicated in these state-backed extrajudicial killings. We ask you to be with us, to support us, to be part of a campaign to end the culture of impunity in Cambodia and to find justice for those who have been waiting for justice for their loved ones killed by the state. There cannot be real peace unless there is justice. There cannot be justice unless there is independent investigation. And then take those cases to an independent justice system. Join us by signing on this petition. Thank you.
យើងរួមគ្នាបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពដើម្បីយុត្តិធម៌នៅកម្ពុជា
We Welcome and thank you for joining our Khmer Youth Voices for Justice. This is part of CNRP America Live TV show. Before I continue in English, I would like to properly greet our guests, basically Khmer viewers in Khmer. ជាដំបូងខ្ញុំព្រះករុណាសូមក្រាបថ្វាយបង្គំព្រះសង្ឃទាំងអស់នាងខ្ញុំសូមជម្រាបសួរបងប្អូនជនរួមជាតិទាំងអស់នាងខ្ញុំចង់បញ្ជាក់ថាកម្មវិធីថ្ងៃនេះជារៀងរាល់ថ្ងៃអង្គារគឺជាភាសាអង់គ្លេសយើងនិយាយភាសាអង់គ្លេសពីព្រោះយើងចង់ឲ្យយុវជនជំនាន់ក្រោយនិងជនបរទេសបានយល់ពីបញ្ហានិងស្ថានភាពនៅស្រុកខ្មែរយើងខ្ញុំសូមអភ័យទោសដែលមិនបាននិយាយភាសាខ្មែរថ្ងៃនេះក៏ប៉ុន្តែសូមរងចាំតាមដានកម្មវិធីរបស់យើងជាភាសាខ្មែរជារៀងរាល់ថ្ងៃពុធដល់ថ្ងៃច័ន្ទនៅម៉ោងដដែលចា៎ Hello and welcome again. We have two topics today. We're going to talk about general knowledge of Cambodia Ancestor Day. And the second topic would be democracy crisis in Cambodia. It is my pleasure that I have two guests whom with extensive knowledge of international relations, social issues, and local politics in Cambodia. I would like to welcome our first guest, Mr. Sarat Maun.
Thank you very much for today's today's show. It's very good for me. Thank you.
He is the president of CNRP working group in Dom Min Chai province in Cambodia. So welcome, Mr. Maun.
Thank you.
Our second guest, we have Mr. Sopon Singh. He is chairman of Electoral Commissioner for Overseas Cambodia. Welcome, Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Konchran. Thank you so much for having me today.
Do you want to tell our viewers a little bit about yourself? Both guests would like to or say something interesting about you to the viewer. Start with Mr. Sarat.
Okay, yeah, sure, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to be here on this your channel. Actually, this is like my first time to speak in public in English. Normally, I use this in only communication, but yes, great to be here and we'll share as much as possible with all the experience, with all the viewpoint from what I know, and then we will be together. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, about me, my name is Sopon Singh. I am the president of the Committee for Election Rights of Overseas Cambodia. Little bit different from the title that you put, but that's fine. The abbreviation called the CEROC. I spent 14 years as a Buddhist monk, so I can elaborate more about the first topic on Pchum and Kanban and how the Buddhists practice correctly according to the Buddha teaching. And also I spent almost six years at the University of Hawaii in Manoa for my graduation and my PhD program. My field of study is political science as well. And my interested research was about the Khmer Krom livelihood and also the grassroots democracy movement in Cambodia. So thank you very much today for having me to this discussion.
It's our pleasure.
Appreciate it, yeah.
Okay, let us talk about going to our first topic, which is Cambodia Ancestor Day. Have you been to the temple lately, or have your parents taken you to the temple? You or family member might have gone visit the temple this week, and or notice many posts on Facebook that people going to different temples. Some people go to more than one temple. Cambodian Buddhists around the world are currently celebrate religious holiday. It's called Ancestor Day or Festival of the Dead, or it's also known as Spirit Day. It is a very unique celebrations. It's a 15 days event. Each of the first 14 days known in Khmer as Kanban, and while the last day called Pchum. This is a time when the spirit of our dead ancestor walk the earth, and the living can offer food to them. The general belief that during this time, the demon, which is the king of hell, will release all the spirit. The dead are that cannot go to heaven or reincarnations to roam the world. Due to all the punishment they suffer in hell, the spirit are very hungry, very starving. For the whole 15 days, they will search all temple for their relative food that dedicated to them. They can only receive the food from their relative. Of course, if they go to the temples for the 15 days and they couldn't find their relative, they couldn't find the food that being offered from their relative, they are most likely gonna curse their relative, their living relative. Of course, the curse is never good, and their relative might face bad luck for the whole year. So due to this reason, our family in Cambodian go to temple to make sure no matter how busy or how poor they are, they bring food. So that way it's also an offering to the death. Each day the people would bring what we call bai bun, or food, and other offering to the temple to offer to the monk. This way it's believed that the offering will be dedicated to the ancestor or the death. According to Buddhist belief, the life that we live after death are predicated by the actions that we took when we are living. So in short, do good in life now, so we will not go to hell. So let me bring Mr. Singh so he can basically help to add to my knowledge of that.
Oh yeah, that's very good, interesting introductions. Actually, the Buddhist belief is that human being, when we die, we will be reborn. So we are reborn in different realms according to our own karma or our own deeds. So the realm that we will be reborn can be in heaven, can be in hell. But actually we can reborn as a human being, we can be reborn as animals, or we can be reborn as hungry ghosts. So the purpose of Pchum and Kanban is we only dedicate the offering to the hungry gods only, that we call prayer in Cambodian language. So we cannot dedicate to animal or Sat Derichan, or we cannot dedicate to human being or Manu, or we cannot dedicate to angel in the heaven, because they already receiving good merit in the past life to be reborn in the heaven. So only one ram that we can dedicate to is hungry gods or prayer only. That's why we call Kanban. Kanban, it means taking turn to offer the food to the Buddhist monk at the temple, or we call food offering rotation. So this is the meaning of Kanban. Kanban happen only during the rainy season that we call Cholvasa. So the first darkness day until to the middle or the 15th darkness day, that is the Pchum Tom, the biggest celebration of ancestor festival. And we have Pchum Toj, that is the smaller festival as well. So during this season, 3 months, the Buddhist monk cannot go outside the temple to collecting food as usual. So the monk had to stay in the monastery for 3 months to strictly practice meditation and also to learn Buddha teaching during these 3 months. So that's why the people and the villagers and the neighbors, and the devotee, they have to take turn to bring food to offer to the monk at the temple. That's why during these 14 or 15 days, there will be a listing of names of the devotee to take turn to offer food to the monk. Generally, the Buddhist monks stay in the temple during this time to practice vipassana meditation and also to learn. Not only the monk, the acharya or donji, the nuns and clergy also stay in the monastery to dedicate themselves for 3 months as well. And I want to tell you that this tradition is not only Cambodian people or Buddhist countries, that they believe that during this season, there will be hungry ghosts come to the world and walk around our neighbor, walk around our food to ask for offering. In Western tradition, we call Halloween. So you can see the Halloween, the perspective has been changed. Halloween happen only during the darkness, they call the darkest day of the year. In Cambodia too, during this season, it is super dark. In the nighttime, you cannot see anything. It's very dark. That's why Cambodian people believe that the ghost come out during this dark, because the ghost is afraid of the light. They cannot come during the light. So the dark is believed that Western country, they teach children to trick and treat, not to be scary or ghosts. That is different from our Eastern culture or Buddhist tradition, that children scare or ghosts. That's why scary tactic that they teach children to offer food, to go to Bai Ban or throwing the piece of food in the temple, so that the ghost will not haunt them. So a little bit different. And also we teach that children who do good by offering to the monk, not only to the monk, offering to the poor people, or offering to sharing kindness, sharing loving compassion, loving kindness and compassion to other people. It is also a good deed that the children and the adult, they can be expected to be reborn in a good ram, or reborn in a human being or in the heaven. So your introduction is pretty good. Yeah, I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you share your memory of childhood? Maybe was it fun to go to the temple during this time? Because I remember when I was in Cambodia, when I was young, I usually go to the temple with grandma and grandpa, and they would take me like what we call temple hopping, go different temple, and eat the food after the monk. So it was fun for me, but I don't know why we go to the temple. So do you have a good experience?
Oh yeah,
during this time?
Yeah, my childhood is full of temple experience, or we call Aram boy. I am the temple boy, and I spent almost half of my life in the temple as a boy and also as a monk. During my childhood, I learned little bit knowledge about how the monk, how Buddhism are. That's why my curiosity led me to study deeper and do more research about the Buddha teaching. When I was young, I believed that Buddhism is the belief of God or belief of creator or something like that. But when I learned more, no, the Buddha teaching is about reality. So the Buddha said that there is no creator. We are the creator of ourselves. So the belief in superstition is not existent in Buddhism. So this is the reality that the Buddha teaching is about Four Noble Truths. It means the truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering, the truth of the cessation or ending of suffering, and the truth of the path leading to the ending of suffering. So this Four Noble Truths is the scientific research, and it is the scientific knowledge of the world. And also learning about offering. When you go to the temple, you offer food to the monk, you offer flower to the monk. Even though you're child or even though you're adult, you go with your children, you go to kneeling down because of fear in front of the Buddha statue. You don't think that the Buddha statue is built by rock or built by cement. So the Buddha statue is a representative of the Buddha, the enlightened one. And also when you worship the monk, you don't think the monk is just a child of the general people. The monk has sacrificed his life from happy life as okay, they call world life, because the monk, there are two kinds of monk in the temple. You have to observe that. We call novice. So when the monk under 18 years old, under 20 years old, they cannot become a bhikkhu or the bhikkhu monk, and only over 20 years old, so that you can become a bhikkhu monk. And bhikkhu monk, they have 227 precepts or rules to practice, and the novice that who are under 20 years old, they have only 30 rules only. That's why in the temple you can see that some monks serve another monk, because the novice serve the bhikkhu monk. You have to understand that. Sometimes we have a lot of lay people, a lot of clergy, a lot of nuns serving the monk, but sometimes only monks serving the monk, because the novice serving the bhikkhu monk. This is the hierarchy in the monastery that I learned first time when I was a childhood, and when I became more deep research and practice myself and understand about this concept. So there are a lot of perspective in the temple that you could learn, especially you have to learn about 5 precepts. You know 5 precepts, Linda? You can try.
No, not that high, no.
Yeah, 5 precepts is a fundamental precept of human being, not only Buddhist followers. I think every human being, they should have 5 precepts to preserve peace and stability and compassion. So 5 precepts. First precept is abstain from killing beings, and second precept is abstain from stealing or taking other property without permissions, and the third precept is abstain from sexual misconduct or kind of betrayal your partner, and the fourth precept is abstain from telling lie or talking badly behind people, or backbiting or using slandering words. And the last precept is abstain from drinking alcohol or addicting to drugs. So this is fundamental 5 precepts to become a Buddhist. Yeah, I want to say that. But there are a lot of, if you want me to clarify, there are a lot of things to say about 5 precepts.
No, we good. Let me add Mr. Sarat. Can you share your childhood experience regarding Kanban or Pchum? How was it? Do you have a positive experience or you have fun, basically?
Well, yeah, actually, if I could speak more about Buddhism, I would like to do it. But actually, frankly, I don't know much about Buddhist law and restriction, but I know about what I learned from the society when I live in the country. And when we have Pchum, I remember that this is part of the social pattern that we encourage people, we encourage or we call motivation to the new generation to remember their ancestor, to remember the society and the history, so that this is one of the way that they can teach, or the tradition can teach us to do not forget our own history, our ancestor, our relation, so that we can bring this into what is like a memorial every year. This is another part that I could see from why Pchum is so important. And Pchum, it is not just only for serving the food, or not just only practicing to the Buddhist tradition, but also it gives another aspect for us to understand, like do not forget our background and history. That is really the part that I would see. That's why I could share from Pchum. Yeah.
Yeah, also we need to realize that, like I said, we need to do good in this life so that way the next, when we would, hopefully we don't go to hell.
Yeah,
that's the end of that.
I want to interrupt about that perspective a little bit. Actually, some monk, when he preached the Dharma, he always emphasize on that you have to rejecting your present life so that you can have a good life in the future, or you're avoiding reborn in hell. Actually, the Buddha teaching is about the present. The Buddha said that live your life in the present, don't worry or anxious about the past, or no much worry or anxious about the future. So live your life in the present. And for this teaching, it is there is a school called Vipassana school. That's why Vipassana meditation is the core teaching of the Buddha. So there are different kind of teaching, even though in Tripitaka, or we call the Buddhist scripture. So the Buddhist scripture divide into 3 parts. First part talking about ethics. Second part talking about the discourse, long discourse of the Buddha. And the last part talking about the Paramattha or Abhidhamma, or we call metaphysics in Buddhism. So the teaching about metaphysics in Buddhism is about Vipassana, about training your mind, developing physical, mental problem. Because every human being, we are facing with physical and mental failure, or physical and mental and intellectual problem. That's why Vipassana will help us a lot. So meditation, simply just try to focus on your breathing, close your eye, sit down in a proper place and quiet place, and you breathe in, breathe out, and know your breathing by rejecting all the movement come to your mind. So when you focus on one thing, on your breathing, exhale and inhale, you will have a mindfulness. So this is the teaching of the present. And also when we learn about this, we will gain the pure knowledge of Buddhism. And we are not deceived by some external persuasion or external manipulation. In Buddhism in Cambodia, it becomes a norm and culture. So sometimes the monk himself, not every monk, not every temple, that from my research is they have more problem with receiving corrupt money, corruption money. So the monk advocate or persuade people to donate money to build a temple, or to offer, like during this Kanban, you can see that many rich people or many powerful people in Cambodia, they practice to every temple, and they show on the Facebook, they show in the media, television or radio or Facebook or whatever, about their wills, about their money, about materialistic that they can offer to the temple. So the monk welcome the offering without learning that the source of those offerings come from where. Because this is the practice of corruption, that the powerful can give more money, but the monk doesn't know. The monks don't know those money resources coming from. This is the big issue in Cambodian society, that I can see another side of the coin. Another side of the coin is very good to go to offer the monk to support the temple, to support Buddhism. But another bad side of the coin is that those powerful and rich people, they earn dirty money, and they try to build big temple. They try to offer, like during this Kanban, they go to the temple and they offer food to the monk, and offer material or offer money to the monk, or offer to the poor, offer to the nuns and clergy living in the temple. But those money coming from where? Like the powerful of Cambodia, they earn salary around 2,000 per month, but they spend one Kanban in a temple, just one day, they might spend over $5,000. So where that money coming from? So this is the question. In Western country like US and Canada, we will question on those source of money. So this is, I want to bring some this kind of perspective to see that practice in Buddhism can be good or can be bad if we are not mindful about it. Yeah, I just want to stress on that. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay, yeah.
No, it's a really good information. Thank you for sharing. Thank you both guys for sharing your experience, also your knowledge, and it's now the new generation would know why their parent or grandparent drag them to temple in the next 10 days.
Yes, spend your time in the temple, and you can have Halloween at the temple, because when is the Halloween? October
31st. Usually the end of the month. The end of October.
After Pchum Day, that Halloween.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
my children they like Halloween a lot. Trick and treat because they like candy.
Thank you both. Okay, let's start our second topic. Our second topic is the democracy crisis in Cambodia. Democracy is a very popular word in Cambodia. The international community has spent billions of dollars to help Cambodia build its democracy, but democracy is still in the hand of Hun Sen. Let me remind everyone, even though more than 40 years have passed, the fall of Khmer rule, but we have Hun Sen regime in Cambodia. Hun Sen is the Prime Minister of Cambodia. Hun Sen and his political party, CPP, have been holding to power for over 40 years. This alone, the practice of democracy is non-existent in Cambodia. Current regime continue to target individuals for peaceful criticizing the government. Large number of opposition party and activists fled the country to avoid arbitrary arrest. The government frequently resort to repressive law, which restrict the activity of human rights organizations and silence them. People who wish to go against Hun Sen regime face arrest, jail, or worse, murder. Current Cambodia politics has reached its lowest point since the 1991 Paris Peace Accord, which creates civil society and established a pledge to uphold democracy, rule of law, and human rights. Less than 24 hours, which is this morning, the UN Special Reporter Rhonda Smith and Mary Lawlor issued statement which expressed very concern regarding situation on Cambodia due to recent arrest of many individuals, including a monk. Just to summarize, democracy provides an environment that represents human rights and fundamental freedom, and in which the freely express the will of people in exercising their freedom of expression. People have a say in decision and can hold decision maker to account. The value of freedom, respect for human rights, and principle of holding elections are essential elements of democracy. Democracy provides an environment for protections and human rights. Let me bring both guests in. From what I read, democracy does not exist in Cambodia, especially this couple weeks. Basically, not couple weeks, it's been many years already that if you open your mouth, even to talk or even to sing, you will get arrested. So how, from your belief, from what you understand, Mr. CEROC, can you explain what is democracy?
Actually, before we start to discuss about this subject, I also would like to bring back that tension and also want to put everything back together. And I would like to take this opportunity to share and to let other people, especially our supporters around the world, to understand that Cambodia has been once after this Paris Peace Agreement, we have a political atmosphere that we come to a real, or we call true process of democracy by the participation of UNAMIC and UNTAC by those times, that create an atmosphere for us to really start on the beginning of the democracy step in the first time in Cambodia. And by those time, we really get a true and we call it free and fair election, and which was the real will of expression, and the participation in the process has been established within those terms. But since the power, what is eager from Hun Sen, that he's always attempt to take over Cambodia onto his control. And there was some situation one time that after 1997 coup, by that time, all the democracy, what we call the democracy environment has been broken and completely go into a complete, we call a power control by Hun Sen and his party. And that is really the time that the people around the world, especially the international community, they start to worry about the direction of democracy in Cambodia. But when we're talking about democracy in Cambodia, a lot of people use the term of democracy. But for us, we know that just after the 1997, we start to really struggle through to what we call try to redirect or reinstall or put back in track for democracy to Cambodia. But because we stand in the position of we call harmony, we are standing in the rights and bylaw. But Hun Sen, they are not standing in the same position like us. He used his we call power or harassment. That's what he always take advantage over us. Then it comes to the last minutes that in 2017, that one of the most popular or the biggest opposition party has been dissolved by the government of Hun Sen. That is really the end of democracy. That the democracy has not ever been in Cambodia since then. That a lot of people, they come up here, they really try to go not go again, but they try to express their will that they want to take back democracy for Cambodia, but it becomes cannot do it. Right now we're trying and we keep trying. Even the threat and even the risk are very confronted to us, but we never surrender by this time. This is what I would like to start with here, and I would like to hear what Mr. Supwan could contribute his point of view in here too. I really want to hear from him. Then I can share what we can do together to bring back the democracy to Cambodia.
Linda, I appreciate your introduction about the report from UN Special Reporter, Mrs. Rona Smith. So she expressed her concern about the arresting of many activists, from environmental activists to social justice activists, and also those youths and young people, especially girls, are very young, and they arrested those girls. And according to democracy, you cannot arrest them and put them in jail, because speaking about your rights is not a crime, right? So those girls, they come to the street to express their worry, to express their anxiety about social justice, about the degradation of environment. It's not a crime. And also in the constitution, Cambodian constitution, guarantee freedom of expression and freedom of assembly, and also peaceful protest. So nothing that the government can use the excuse that those young people come to inside the society to commit felony, according to what they refer to the law called Penal Code 499, something like that. and they twisted the law. They twisted the law to meet their ambition as a dictatorship, not democracy. You cannot arrest young people that come to love their nation, come to express their feeling about social injustice. You cannot do that. You cannot do that in the world. Even though you are having a mental problem, you still see something, some valuable, some value and dignity of those young people come to express in the public. You cannot accuse them as incitement. No, why incitement? You have arms, you have police, you have everything in hand. Those young people cannot incite society or cannot create instability in society at all. And you cannot arrest them and accuse them in the criminal code, because criminal code only jail people who committed violence, like stealing or killing people or doing something that is criminal, right? But they just come to the street, they just speak on the microphone, they just use their feeling to express about what they don't like. It is not a crime. It is just a civil law. You can just ask them to instruct them. You can give them education and release them back home. You cannot put them in jail. So this is not democracy, Linda. It's wrong, absolutely wrong. Democracy, they don't do that. Democracy, they don't dissolve opposition party. Democracy, they don't arrest opposition party. No, they don't put in jail, because opposition party is part of democracy. So when you dissolve political party that is opposition and you put them in jail, it is not democracy. And also democracy don't put those young people who are expressing freedom of speech in jail. So not at all. This is not democracy at all in Cambodia. I can guarantee you that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just in Cambodia, in anywhere. It's a peaceful protest. So everybody have an option to voice their concern regarding the current government. So this is just a freedom of expression that it's not that they got arrested and still in jail. It's not haven't released yet.
Yeah, the thing also, like when talking about Cambodia law, to me, it's like we've been participate and involved in a lot of political activity, and we believe that in our own rights, we have the right to participate in any social action, like include of political action too. In the term that like when we're talking about arresting and intimidate them and also arbitrarily like jail them, that all those are things that it's not in the frame of legal or legitimate action that the government can do to anybody in the community, because what the young generation and what the people, especially those victims who have been like badly violate their rights and then arrest them and beat them and throw them to the street, things like that, it's very like inhumanity, because like based on what we're talking about Cambodia, when we're talking about the right of expression, freedom of participation or assembly, those are the basic or the principle we call the fundamental rights that everybody have from birth. But the thing that we are talking here is not about are they exercising the right is violating the regulation or the rule of the state, because Cambodia, since like after we've known that Cambodia has become a captured state, become a one-state party, and become a dictatorship or authoritarian government, all the law that they establish or that they put in force, it's only the tool or the equipment for them to silence the opposition, to control or to make sure that their power is not disturbed. So there is no law in Cambodia, there is no rule in Cambodia. It's only the will of the power of the person who wants to control the state. So if we look back into the principle of a peace agreement accord that we have in Paris 1991, in part 3, they're talking about all person in Cambodia and have a freedom to to be part or to be involved in all political events. So these are leading to how our constitution adopted based on that principle. That's why right now everybody is when they try to calling for their rights, their participation, their involvement, especially when those people who are violated, they want to they want justice, they want to have an environment that they can be treated equally, and the government did not allow that to happen because they worry that the mass rally will be occur and then it will affect to the power of Hun Sen. That's what I believe.
One of our audience has a questions. She interested in knowing more on how Cambodian overseas can vote in Cambodia election. That's also a democracy process where voting is the democracy where we pick the leader. But since it's over 40 years, Hun Sen been on power, holding to the power. That's not democracy at all.
Yeah, this is I think that the question from Sumpalin, right? I think
yes.
It's really true, and it's really good question about that. To me, for myself, I really want to see that environment that people in abroad, like as a Cambodian in abroad, who should have the same right, like to vote for to express their will, like which candidate they can vote for to to lead the country. That is really the things that the democratic country they do it. But to answer to that question, I would say it's not just only Cambodian who are living abroad that you want to vote for your representation in Cambodia, but even the people in Cambodia who they know that they are not the CPP supporter, they also erase this list or remove from the voting list. Even the people in Cambodia did not have a chance to vote for the person that they like. For instance, a lot of in the past many election, a lot of people who they know that it's not favor to CPP, they erase their name and take off from the list so that they don't have a chance to vote. So all those are things that it happened because even the voting system in Cambodia, it's very, very bad, and to go into the real democracy, it's not going to happen soon. That's why we're struggling, trying to make any possible way to change this current government or current dictatorship. That's what
I just want to add for that from Sompolin. Like the CEROC, we have been working to promote human rights and election rights of overseas Cambodians. So we have in South Korea, migrant worker about 60,000, and in Thailand, migrant workers about 3 million. So those they lost their right to vote and lost their right in election in Cambodia. And this is not include our Cambodian overseas who living in America or Canada or Australia and France permanently. We should have right to vote. Actually, our constitution said that every Cambodian, regardless of where they are living, they have rights to vote. But like Mr. Sarat said, since 1997, after the coup d'etat by Prime Minister Hun Sen, the election committee in Cambodia, we call National Election Committee, NEC, they deprive rights to vote of overseas Cambodian, and also they have deprived right to vote of Cambodian in the country as well, like the voting list. In 2013, when the election that CNRP gained about 55 seats or 50%, 49%, and there were a protest to have National Election Committee reform. So we have very good new NEC in Cambodia that comprise 4 from opposition party and another 4 members from CPP and 1 member from independent. But right now, those law that amended in the constitution has been violated by Hun Sen regime after they dissolved CNRP. So right now there are no more members from opposition party. So we can say that the National Election Committee right now is illegal, illegitimate. We can say that. And
oh yeah, it's true. Like when I remember that a lot of country, those country, they are the Paris Peace Agreement signatory. They reject the 2018 election. They reject that because once they dissolute the CNRP, the biggest opposition party, and secondly, they only like create some a puppet party to support them, and also the result of that election, like it's not properly accounted, and it's everybody say that it's a illegitimate election. So when they create the government, it's an illegitimate government. So right now, a lot of people, they never call a government a Cambodia, but they call it a regime. It's a Hun Sen regime. So this is actually, they are not the government anymore. That's why a lot of work that we are doing outside, abroad right now, especially at the international level, we try to bring the issue of the principle of Paris Peace Agreement, that we believe that Cambodia is supposed to be run or to be controlled or to be served in a democratic democratic way, but all those environment has gone. It's completely broken. That's why we call for international community, especially the signatory, to look back into their ratification that they have been given to the peace agreement, like look back into that, what happened in Cambodia, because you've been contributing a lot of effort in terms of like financial and human resource to establish and also to what is we call to reinstall the peace and democracy for Cambodia. But after Hun Sen really destroyed the whole structure of democracy in Cambodia, we want to call the international community, especially the signatory country, to look back and put as much sanction as possible to the dictatorship regime in Cambodia. How can we ignore what's been happening right now? You see, like a lot of people have been what we call jail and mistreated, and those are the things that it could be accounted. Called the government of the other country should look back and should take into account, like you cannot ignore, you cannot forget what you've been signing, and then right now things is happening in Cambodia. So we wish that the English channel here could at least share some information to all those countries who have been helping us in the past, and looking to the the model that European community, European Union, they already put a great sanction onto this dictatorship regime. So we want, in Canada, we also working toward what we call submitting all the petition to them to look back into the effort that have been helping Cambodia in those past. So this is also a time that we, not just in Canada, but also some people who are in the United States, should start the campaign. You should start the work to recall the attention to those government who've been committing themselves to help Cambodia to bring back what is like a true, peaceful, and a fair democracy in Cambodia. That's what we want.
Is it possible? Is it possible when someone asking me or asking both of you, is it possible to restore democracy in Cambodia?
Well,
Since Hun Sen regime been in for 40 years?
Well, we have to try. Actually, like we know that thing is not easy, especially to change from the dictatorship regime from the one who really like the power is in their hand. It's not easy, but we never we never give up. We
never lose faith.
Yeah, because as we believe that where there is a try, there's always a way. where there is a will, there is always a way. That's right. And in Cambodia, we know that a lot of people are suffering and they are standing up right now. But for us, that we are staying outside the country, we have an opportunity to reach out to other government, to talk to them, to tell them what has been happening in Cambodia. And we know that Cambodia is very small and our language is very limited. And a chance to share our suffer to the international level, it's not that easy. But the opportunity that we have this channel for like 1 week a day, that we have some English speaking channel or time, that is an opportunity for us to share the suffer, to share the hardship, to share the painful that we are encountering in Cambodia. So we are not giving up. We'll try, even it's very hard, but we know that it's not easy, but there is way now. We find like a lot of people in Cambodia are standing up. A lot of youth, they understand like what is the loss and what is the suffer, and especially those government workers, they know that everything now they try to cut our throat. So you have to really stand up now. So I hope that someday we will find ways to get out of this terrible situation. That's what I believe. Yeah.
I hope it's soon. Mr. Singh, would you like to add anything to
about Paris Peace Agreement? It is a cornerstone for us. It is a foundation for Cambodia. When we talk about international relations, when we talk about international obligation, we have to talk about Paris Peace Agreement. And through this Paris Peace Agreement and the United Nations, like UNTAC, they spend billion dollars to restore Cambodia back. Not only democracy, but they restore economy and also social problem. So many young people right now, they are like enlightened young people, the younger generation. They are very curious about participating in society movement. And the Hun Sen regime, he just tried to test his last game, because he liked to play chess. So his chessboard right now, according to the international observation, according to academic writing, they said that he just tried his last chess to cling to power. But it seems like his chess, it doesn't work properly, because China, that primarily he's saying that China will support him 100%, but it seems like China doesn't support him. And the Western countries, they never recognize election in 2018 because it is a legitimate election. And also with two power that the Democrat can overcome right now is the pressure from international community and also the pressure from Cambodian citizens, both domestic and abroad, especially Cambodian in the country. They have to stand up. They have to speak in one voice that justice cannot be easily given. They don't bring justice to your table. You have to fight and struggle. You have to fight for it. You have to fight for justice. Justice cannot be easily granted to you. This is what the message that I would like to say to those younger generation. And even though they arrest you like 5, 6, or 10, you have to continue your struggle. You cannot just stop and you cannot just ski on that. You have to continue your struggle and fight, so that the legacy of your fight will be inscribed in the history of Cambodia for the future generation. So this is what I see. The younger generation, they stand up already. So we have to push them more. We cannot stop on this right now. We cannot stop. We have to move more. Go ahead. And another thing is I want to add is about arresting Venerable God Sarai. He is a Pchum monk. According to Buddhism, you cannot disrobe the monk when he is not wrong. According to Buddha teaching, that only the 4 bad offense we call parachik buon, such as having sexual or stealing a lot of money from other, or killing human being, or expressing that he is enlightened, which is not having in his body, he's just boasting it. So this 4 parachik buon, so that the authority or the monk can disrobe the monk and put them in jail. but according to the Sarai, the police just told the news that he is disrobed right now and he is in jail. So I think the monk cannot disrobe the monk themselves, because God Sarai have nothing to do with disrobing, because he has done nothing wrong according to the Buddha teaching. So I'm wondering that the authority forced Venerable God Sarai to disrobe himself, or maybe the authority disrobe the monk himself and put him in jail. This is a violation over Buddhism that Cambodian Buddhists worldwide and Cambodian Buddhists inside the country, like we have about 60,000 Buddhist monks, and we have about 4,000 Buddhist monasteries. They have to speak up to protect their own interests. If they don't speak up their own interests, today they put one monk in jail, tomorrow they put more monks in the jail.
Yeah, I also would like to take that. I don't know how much time we left, but I want to share like some experience and some issue. I see in a comment that we should take the Paris Peace Agreement signatory to be accounted for what has been happening in Cambodia. And it's true that in Canada, and we both actually, Bong Sapon and me, we are all in Canada and we're working so hard on this issue. We have we drafted one of a petition that we want to could be like we will organize some time to launch this petition to the government of Canada. And we also going to bring back, like, because we know one time on 29 July 2018 at Ottawa, the Global Affairs, they announced that like they are not recognized the government, they are not recognized the elected government in 2018, you know. So within that reference, within that official documentation from the government of Canada, we will attach with our petition to bring back to the government, say, hi, how are you dealing with the government right now? Because based on the track and what we found on the record, that Canadian government still cooperate with the Cambodian illegal government. And we want to find out what can we do, because you've been ratifying the peace agreement and it's supposed to be installing democracy for Cambodia. But right now, Cambodia is no longer a democratic country. So how come Canadian is going or is cooperating with those illegal government? So we want to raise this issue to the government. And if the government of Canada is not going to reply or respond to what our demand, and then we will bring this issue to find other option, could be the opposition, to help us clarify that, because the Canadian people, they've been sacrificed their life to build a democracy for Cambodia. But right now, those democratic atmosphere has been broken down. So we can't allow that situation to continue. So the government of Canada has to do something like what Australian has been doing, what European has been doing to Cambodia. We have to put some pressure to the government so that we can bring back peace and democracy for Cambodia. This is what we are doing, and we will doing it again on we're going to have a big rallies again in around 2023 or 23rd October. That is going to be the future plan. But we never give up. We will continue, and we are doing every day.
Yeah, that's why I want to bring up the democracy. It's not existing in Cambodia. So we all need to support all the youth and anybody that's out there in Cambodia protesting, because that's the only way to call out the injustice in Cambodia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Not just only the people in Cambodia, but I would like to take this opportunity to share among other viewers here or the audience here that we are together on the English channel today, that Cambodian community in United States should also bring the petition from what we've been drafting here, that individual group or community, especially from a small city like us, like we are in Toronto, and some people are in Kitchener or Newmarket, those people, we will have a draft of appeal or a draft of a petition that we will bring that issue to individual parliament member at their local constituents, so that we can bring and take the issue to discuss with them and ask them how could they help Cambodia. We are not just waiting to hear what's going to happen in Cambodia, but for the people in Cambodia, the youth in Cambodia, the government worker in Cambodia, the farmer in Cambodia, they are going or they're standing up in Cambodia, but we are at the international or at the outside of the country. We will try our best to do whatever way we can, not just only supporting, financially supporting the activity in Cambodia, but we also working on the communication with other stakeholders who are accounted for democracy in Cambodia. So this is a chance. This is really good chance that we all together stand up. So within the next few weeks, we are going to do some big event in Toronto, and we would like to see something happening in New York, something happen in Sydney, something happen in Paris. So we want everybody around the world, like Cambodian community, we have to bind up this unity and take this opportunity to shake the world again, so that Cambodia is not silently killed and silently shut up what we are doing right now. Seems like nobody really addressing the issue of Cambodia. So we have to help ourselves before they can help us. That's what I would like to say. Thank you.
Mr. Singh, any last minute on democracy?
Yeah, the effective way to do for the Cambodian abroad, like Canada, US, Australia, or friends alike, they have to talk with their constituent. Go and talk with them by phone, by email, or make appointment with them. Tell them about issue happening in Cambodia. I already sent email to my constituent, to my member of parliament in my constituent election. So I talk with them and let them know, and I will talk with them again, and I will encourage everyone to talk with your constituent, to tell them about what is happening in Cambodia, and to take petition to them. And also let them sponsor petition for us, so that we can impact the parliament or the government, so that they can tell the government to pressure on Cambodian regime to stop violation of human rights and also bring back democracy. This is another thing that Cambodian abroad can do, and also Cambodian people inside the country, they have to speak up. If you don't speak up, if you're silent, it means that you are going to die. So when you speak up, you not die. But if you silent, you are going to die. Soon or later, it will be die nonsensely. So you have to speak up. That's why that's what I want to encourage them to speak up. Speak up loudly, the world will know you. If you silent, the world will not know you.
Speak up and speak up now.
Yeah, speak up loud and louder, so that they can hear you. If you speak up not loud enough, they don't hear you.
Yes.
Right,
so
right,
both inside and outside need to be together and need to stand up, because 40 years is long enough.
Oh, it's very long.
Yeah, it's long enough. Need to be changed.
Yeah.
We have to pursue zero tolerance with this human rights violation. If you don't pursue zero tolerance, you will not move anywhere. So you have to pursue zero tolerance with it and speak up louder and louder.
Yes.
Very good. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and I hope that we can share our experience in the future. And sure, we will be together, not just only in Canada, but we are going to call for the rights of the Cambodian community, not just in Canada, but the states have to stand up too. And we are going to organize a big rally, and we're going to announce what is like our what is it like red line for everybody that okay, we have to stand up. Otherwise, like don't let Hun Sen take an advantage that because right now he's going to set another mission or agenda that there will be an upcoming election in 2023, and that is going to be without the opposition again, or they have some fake opposition, like their opposition, but they don't really have the genuine people.
It's 0 seat.
Yeah, so that is going to be a chance if we don't do anything. That's why we start to do it now. We start to move it now, and yeah, we will fight together for democracy. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you both guys. It was a really great discussion today on Ancestor Day and also on democracy. We hope to do it again, hopefully soon. And like I said, yes, democracy, and we all need democracy in Cambodia. So we all need to fight.
Thank you. See you soon. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Robiem នៃការចូលរួមគាំទ្រលើញត្តិតាមប្រព័ន្ធអនឡាញដំបូងសូមចូលទៅកាន់គេហទំព័រឬ page គណៈបក្សសង្គ្រោះជាតិដែលជាភាសាអង់គ្លេសថា Cambodia National Rescue Party
សូមជម្រាបសួរបងប្អូនជនរួមជាតិនាងខ្ញុំចាវណ្ណែតជាយុវជនមកពីខេត្តត្បូងឃ្មុំនាងខ្ញុំសៅសុភាគឺជាយុវជនមកពីខេត្តប្រសែននោះថ្ងៃនេះដែរនាងខ្ញុំធ្វើវីដេអូនេះដើម្បីគាំទ្រយុទ្ធនាការបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពនៅកម្ពុជាហើយយុទ្ធនាការនេះគឺជាចលនាមួយជំរុញនិងស្វែងរកការរួបរวมគ្នាកោតទោសប្រឆាំងនឹងអំពើខុសខើយនានានាំជនល្មើសទាំងអស់នោះមកផ្ដន់ទាទោសដើម្បីផ្ដល់យុត្តិធម៌ជូនជនរងគ្រោះបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពនៅកម្ពុជាយុទ្ធនាការនេះចាប់ផ្ដើមដោយការប្រមូលញត្តិពីប្រជាពលរដ្ឋទូទៅនិងតាមអនឡាញដើម្បីចូលរួមនៅយុទ្ធនាការនេះសូមបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាចុច link ខាងលើ
ការចុះឈ្មោះចូលរួមញត្តិតាមប្រព័ន្ធអនឡាញដំបូងសូមចុចលើ link ខាងលើដែលភ្ជាប់ជាមួយវីដេអូជំហានបន្ទាប់សូមចុចលើប្រអប់ពណ៌ក្រហមដែលមានពាក្យថា Sign this petition ដើម្បីចុចទៅកាន់ប្រអប់ព័ត៌មានលោកអ្នកត្រូវបំពេញឈ្មោះនាមត្រកូលនិងអ៊ីមែលរបស់លោកអ្នកក្នុងករណីលោកអ្នកមិនចង់បង្ហាញព័ត៌មានផ្ទាល់ខ្លួនសូមដកសញ្ញា Tick នៅក្នុងប្រអប់ខាងក្រោមទាំងពីរនេះនោះព័ត៌មានរបស់លោកអ្នកត្រូវបានរក្សាការសម្ងាត់បន្ទាប់មកសូមចុចលើប្រអប់ពណ៌ក្រហមដែលមានពាក្យថា Sign this petition នោះការចុះឈ្មោះលើញត្តិគាំទ្ររបស់លោកអ្នកបានសម្រេចបន្ទាប់ពីចុះឈ្មោះគាំទ្រលើញត្តិរបស់លោកអ្នកបានសម្រេចរួចហើយបើសិនលោកអ្នកមិនចង់បរិច្ចាគទឹកប្រាក់សូមគ្រាន់តែចុចលើប្រអប់ខាងក្រោមដែលមានពាក្យថា No I'll share instead ជំហានបន្ទាប់លោកអ្នកអាចចែកចាយបន្តនៃការចុះឈ្មោះគាំទ្រលើញត្តិតាមប្រព័ន្ធអនឡាញណាមួយដែលមាននៅក្នុងប្រអប់ទាំងនេះឬប្រសិនបើលោកអ្នកមិនចង់ចែកចាយគ្រាន់តែចុចពាក្យថា Done នោះជាការស្រេច
យើងរួមគ្នាបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពដើម្បីយុត្តិធម៌នៅកម្ពុជា